Hello there, and welcome to the session where you will learn about how to identify top converting queries at every stage of the customer search journey. As an SEO, I have to say that unfortunately, we tend to underestimate the value of identifying top converting or meant to convert terms at every stage of the customer search journey through an in-depth keyword and competition research. Unfortunately, in SEO, we tend to focus a lot on doing in-depth SEO audits, which are also fundamental, but I'm afraid that we don't tend to put the same type of focus on keyword research and competition analysis, which is also fundamental because it's how we will be able to identify those queries that we'll need to focus on for profitability of the SEO process at the end of the day to achieve the goals that our clients or organizations need or are looking for in the SEO process. On the other hand, because this lack of focus in a keyword competition research, we end up having some very common issues. For example, we end up having pages that tend to rank for top queries, but with very poor click-through rate in search results. Or many of the times, we also end up ranking in top positions, bringing a ton of organic search traffic, but this is traffic that end up not converting as well or not generating the type of sales that we intended in the first place. Or also, we end up losing rankings again and again in every Google Core update, and even we don't correctly scoop the number of type of queries that we need to target in order to achieve profitability and a positive ROI in our SEO process, which is fundamental at the end of the day for the viability of our efforts. And all of these issues can be easily avoided at the end of the day by identifying those different type of query permutations, opportunities at every stage of the customer journey. So in today's session, I want to share a few questions that we need to ask and answer in order to facilitate the development of this initial analysis. Let's go through these questions and let's see how we can do it also in a way that can be easy to replicate, leveraging a lot of functionalities, a lot of tools that exist out there, and we can use to put together a successful and very well focused, strategically focused SEO process. So let's start by asking who is your target audience and competition, right? And with this, we need to ask our clients or as our the company decision makers, business owners, to understand realistically what is the website business model, the product and service unique selling proposition. What is the conversion? What is a conversion for the website? What are the most prominent characteristics and differentiators versus other players in the market too? Who's the target audience of the website? What is the type of the different type of audiences that we will target with the website? What are the profiles? What do they care about? And how we will connect with them in order to sell those benefits of the different type of products or services that we will be providing with the website. With all of this information, we can develop user personas in case they are not yet established within the organization to identify what are this type of different type of audiences that we will need to target with their own needs, with their own type of let's say goals to achieve with the products and services that we provide with the website. And with all of this already established, we can then also, on the other hand, identify how the website is already attracting organic search traffic and rankings already, or are those queries and pages that are already with better and worse rankings performing for the website, from a click-through rate rankings and conversions, to assess if this is connected and how is this connected with the value, the services, the product offer from the website, which are also those top organic search ranking competitors, which are the websites that are already ranking in the top position for those top terms for which the website is already ranking, which are those best ranked players in your sectors and how they are doing to achieve this traffic, right? Which are their top queries versus yours? What is the existing gap? Which are those relevant terms that they are ranking for that you are not yet, and those for which that you already are ranking more or less yes, right? So now that you know what you offer, your goals, who's your competition, and also how you stand at the moment versus them, you will have a good base to develop the actual analysis and to identify the actual opportunities that you need to address later on in the SEO process. And the next question to ask here is, what is your audience looking for? So with those initial patterns, topic terms that you have identified from your own website versus the competitors, you can establish their patterns based on the USPs, features, personas, rankings, competitors, right? So, for example, imagine that we were a project management software, online, agile, best, free, and then project management, planning, task management, workflow management, productivity management, software tool, apps, charts, boards, guides, calendar, timelines, free for which type of audiences? Freelancers, global enterprises, personal, and in which areas, for what type of activities, for digital marketing, for web development, for web design, which are the different type of scenarios where we focus on. And with all of these patterns, we can then generate even more queries to identify for potential opportunities using them as seeds keywords, right? So we can leverage functionalities of keyword tools like SEMrush, for example, or even MarketMuse, that content optimization tools like MarketMuse that already provides these functionalities to identify top terms permutations that we can address and generate ideas related questions, queries, variations for any seed term that we add. To avoid leaving any important main topic out, go and take a look at this different group of queries that also keyword tools will provide with the different search volume for each one of these top terms groups. So, for example, SEMrush, they will create these groups alongside in the sidebar with the keyword magic tool. So let's take a look at which are the top ones there, that you are not leaving anything out, and that you also can start getting this additional input as to prioritize each group based on the search volume connected with each one of them too. And you can create lists for each topic related terms, making sure to take into consideration also synonyms, right? Tools, software, systems, to identify which are the type of terms usage for your target market. And this can, of course, change per target market. Even if they are English speaking ones, we know that certain type of terms will be more used in certain areas, countries, regions than others. And then you can use also information on transactional modifiers to get even the most common queries and related questions that can be very helpful, especially to identify which are those informational type of resources that you need to create, or which are those questions that you need to address in more commercially driven or transactional type of landing pages, right? So you can use tools like Answer the Public, or even features within your content optimization tools like MarketMuse too, that will provide questions. You can also obtain suggestion queries from even YouTube and Google for free with Suggester Mixer, for example, as you can see here on the screen, and use other tools like also Ask to identify further search terms, opportunities connected, related, in this case, powered by the people also ask type of features that Google will provide. And you can complement all of this, let's say, organic search queries with those that you already are using for PPC campaigns, and especially prioritize those that you see that are converting better too, in case that you are. And if you are not, you can also take a look at the ones that your competitors are using by using tools also that will tend to provide them. For example, SEMrush can, they or Systrix or Ahrefs, they will provide also those ads keywords that are used for ads by other players within your own sectors that you can also take into consideration. And with all of these query inputs, you can already start developing topic clusters, ideas, and opportunities by grouping them, right? And also identify that if you're leaving any topic area out, and if you identify at this point that you are, to complement them, to add them within all of your different type of queries, keyword groups that you're already establishing there. There are free tools that you can leverage for this event, like Cluster Army. You can import all of the keywords that you had identified so far in order to identify these different groups of terms, group of queries that you can assess if they are relevant or not, if these are meaningful or not, and if there are any other like, let's say, topics that you haven't yet covered as much as you could with additional keywords. And generate topic groups that you can already start establishing to classify later on, for classification later on, and to map these queries with your actual web structure and web taxonomy, the one that you already have and that you will need to create later on. So this process here, this step of the process is critical in order to identify that you're actually covering all the different type of topics and areas that are relevant for you to target with your type of business, with your type of website, right? And you should, of course, consolidate the duplicate and get the search volume, difficulty trends, search features, all the metrics that keyword tools can provide you in order to take as an input to prioritize these topics, these keywords, alongside with the business importance, of course. But at this point, you should already have enough keywords, enough different topic groups for you to do this. And it is definitely critical for you to do this, the duplication and additional assessment or search volume opportunity behind each, in order to identify also the how of a priority each one of these groups should be. You can actually also automate this with functionalities like the ones of Systrix, that you will be able to import a keyword list and they will generate keyword clusters for you, also including the monthly searches for each, also the device distribution for each, and the traffic trend development for each one of them too. And then you can verify for which of these groups you already are ranking or not. And you can also use that information as an additional criteria to prioritize the terms accordingly. Of course, if you already are somewhat already ranking for these topics, because you already have some of the pages that should be used to rank for this can be additional priorities for you, because it will be much easier to see potential traffic, value, revenue much faster if you need to start from scratch, creating these pages from scratch, because you are not yet targeting them with a particular section or area or pages type within your website, right? And you can then, with all of these criteria, business relevance, profitable search volume, current position, existing page or content, level of competition, and search trend, use to get this initial queries list to prioritize to target using this metrics that you can aggregate with tools, and of course the business relevance that is based on the know-how of the business. If you know that there are certain type of efforts going on at the moment, or goals with certain type of areas of the website or the business or departments of the business, to validate the alignment and assess and validate the value of these queries at the end of the day, and the effort that they will need in order to be able to rank for them too. It is also possible, and I will highly suggest, if you have access to content optimization tools like MarketMuse, again, to check the level of competition based on your own pages, if they already exist, for higher accuracy. We know that keyword tools will tend to give this generic level of competition for queries in SEO, but it will be much better to validate accordingly with your own existing pages, right? And now that you have this initial list of queries with all of these metrics already initially prioritized, taking into consideration not only purely SEO metrics, search volume, competition, etc., but also your own needs and goals from a business standpoint, is about like, when are this being searched, at what stage of the customer journey, in order to identify which are the type of pages that you need to create to optimize, or to even consolidate, in order to effectively connect with them and rank for them, right? So when in the customer journey they are being asked, and where do you need to take your users to satisfy the search needs for this query? So here it's critical to assess the audience queries intent to identify what's the best way to target them. So if these are searched at the initial step, the awareness phase of the customer search journey, with information queries, researching how product services work, and for this you will tend to create guides or resources type of pages, or blog posts, for example, or if these are queries at the consideration stage with more commercially driven queries assessing to buy products or services. In this case, the query should be then very likely needed to be targeted by categories, category features, brands, facet type of pages. Or if these are queries that are being searched at the purchase stage of the journey with branded product queries, many times already convinced to purchase, looking already for that product page. And in this case, you will need very likely to be product pages, those meant to be ranked, to connect, to satisfy the needs and convert these users looking for them, right? So in order to assess this in bulk at the beginning, it can be useful to leverage already the intent features that many keyword tools already provide. So for example, SEMrush or Systrix, they already provide the search intent functionality there that you can get in bulk, even if you, again, import all of the keywords that you have already identified as a high opportunities to target there, to obtain them. And then here you also need to take into account the different query variations with the same need, with the same goal, to be targeted by the same page. So again, imagine that we were targeting project management tool for remote work, or project management software for remote teams, or remote online project management tool, or online project management software for remote teams. All of these queries will be needed to be targeted by the same page at the end of the day, because the need, the intent that they have is the same, and the type of features, the value, the functionalities that we will want to promote and show to the user at that point when they're searching any of them will tend to be the same too. If you have doubts whether you should target certain type of queries with informational resource, or a more transactional, commercially driven one, or with a product page, with a category page, or a facet page, if these group of queries actually need to be targeted by the same page or different one. If you have any doubts, in any case, it's always worth it to go and check out search result pages for them, right? So which are the players that are ranking for them? Are these same, different? How are they optimized? What they are featuring? Are they featuring the same type of features, functionalities, or products or services, or different ones? What are the features that is included for these search results? Are these aligned with the ones that you can leverage in order to maximize your visibility? Or Google is giving much more weight to videos or informational resources, and you don't have the capacity to create them and only have commercially driven ones? So you can take this into consideration to double check also, in order to assess if there's alignment with your own efforts or not. And also you can get these sort of features information, and along with the intent of, for each one of these queries in bulk, again, by using tools like SEMrush Keyword Manager in order to obtain, for example, which are the top 10 pages or top 20 pages ranking for this query in bulk, in order to assess them in a much more straightforward and quick way. And based on this assessment, you will have a better idea of which are the type of queries that you should look to address and prioritize first, and with what type of pages that you might already have on the website, or which are the type of pages that you actually need to create, or level of pages or areas of pages that you need to create in order to be able to target these different type of queries that are useful, that are meaningful for you, that are relevant for you, but you are not yet addressing at all. In order to facilitate this task and assessment, I have already created this resource here. It's a cheat sheet for the pages and type, keywords, and pattern mapping for e-commerce and size websites that you can use to ensure that you're not leaving anything else, and use these resources to establish the intent and all this type per targeted query. And then to also map these queries using 10, checking if the rank page, in case you already have it, is the relevant one to target to rank for this query or not. If a new one is created, should be created, or if you need to consolidate a few URLs because there are many of them actually featuring or showing very similar content, already ranking for a variation of them that should be actually ranked by a single page. tools like Keyword Insights can also automate this process and are super useful to create automated topic cluster, including also the rank pages that you already have from your website, along with the positions, to highly facilitate this assessment for you, and also use this information to prioritize optimization efforts too, and prune your targeted queries further. You will still find here some topic permutations that might not necessarily be the best at that point, because you realize that it doesn't make sense for you to create certain type of pages that you don't yet have on the website. Rather than, yes, it totally makes sense to create these new pages or to consolidate these pages, because they really make sense for my type of business, or because of what I want to offer, right? If you have doubts regarding whether to optimize, consolidate, or prune the pages, check out this flow chart that I created with different type of criteria that you need to take into consideration and use it accordingly. And then at this point, we should then ask another fundamental question: is how do you need to be shown to maximize your search visibility for these queries, right? So here again, it's not only about creating or optimizing for these queries, but how to do it should be purely with text. You can you leverage sort features there, or video carousels or image packs based on your own capacity to create this type of content? Should you create a list, or it is better to just to outline the information or the different features right away, right? So in order to better identify these opportunities, and if you should put any additional effort on creating content in these other type of formats, go and take a look at the search features informations that you have already gathered for each one of those queries that you have already identified that are meaningful for you to target. And then you can prioritize those that can give you more aggregated visibility for this group of queries for your targeted terms, based on your own capacity also to leverage them or to produce them at the end of the day, and also deprioritize those with features that you can leverage and will generate a low click-through rate because of this. Take also into consideration your own capacity to prioritize structured data implementation in case of any of these search features need the implementation of structured data in order to be included there, to have the capacity to be shown in any of these rich results too. And then one of those last questions that we want to ask here is why. To double check at the end if is it actually relevant to and potentially profitable to target these queries, taking into consideration all of the effort that you will need to do now that you already know about it, right? So is why is ranking for these queries going to help you to achieve the goals? Let's ask this critical fundamental question, right? Like, what's the potential of your total addressable market? Is it enough for a positive ROI based on all of the queries that you have already identified? So you need to forecast it. You need to do a projection to assess how much you can bring if you rank for the target queries within a year in the top 10 results or in the top 5 results, right? Is it going to be enough to achieve your goals? You can also use tools or add-ons such as Forecast Forge to facilitate this SEO forecast too. And you can use the results from this forecast with the SEO international SEO ROI tool here to assess if the expected conversions will generate a positive ROI for you or not. If all of these queries are not enough for you to achieve the goals based on your current conversion rates. If it is not, then you will need to expand accordingly the list of queries that you are targeting, taking into consideration too that you will need very likely more content too in order to be able to rank for them too. So it's about refinement at this point and to assess if it is enough or not to achieve your goals. Just remember to ask the right questions then, because as you can see, if you do it, it will be very natural for you to develop a keyword and competition research that is strategically oriented, that can be very helpful, not only to identify queries to target and that's it, but queries that will actually convert and will be helpful for you to convert through the whole customer journey, and that will make sense for you to target from a business standpoint in order to achieve this. If you think that it is a lot of work, at the end of the day, it should be work that should be compensated because of this: a growth in organic search, rankings, traffic, and then obviously also conversions. It should be something that pays off from a conversion standpoint, because otherwise your SEO process won't achieve its goal. Thank you very much for the opportunity to share with you today. I'm very looking forward. In case you have any questions or doubts, you can also ask me over Twitter. I'm at Aleyda. Bye bye.